I am a 20-year-old female living at home since the pandemic with my parents and younger brother, who is a decade younger than me.
Wait, I'm confused already.
She is a 22-year-old female.
Oh, she is. She doesn't have a 20-year-old.
No, I am a 22-year-old female living at home since the pandemic with my parents and younger brother, who is a decade younger than me.
She's 12.
Yes. Unlike me, great math. Unlike me, who grew up shy and obedient to my parents. My brother is a complete brat. My old-ass parents don't give a fuck because, well, they're old now and look at me to help raising him essentially because it's like a lost cause. I tried being his friend. I tried being the older sister, but nothing works. He's still a piece of shit. It's causing me to have poor anger management and rage that makes me want to hit him, though I never want to do that to him the way my parents hit me growing up. I hate to admit it, but I'm starting to hate him and even resent my parents for having this accident baby. Yet these feelings make me feel really guilty. The bottom line is, how do I go about treating my younger brother? Should I attempt to build a better relationship even though it's hard? Or should I preserve my own mental health and hold on until the pandemic ends and escape this nest completely? Which will be better when he's older?
You already know Bert just said he hates boys.
By the way,
Yeah.
Oh no! By the way, I'm having the same problem with my daughter, except it's not my brother. So like, yeah, I resent her. I want to hit her. I can't wait till this pandemic's over. I can get the fuck out. I look at my wife sometimes, who is so fucking good of a person, so good, man. She sees everything with love. I wish I could be that person. I get bitter and angry about certain things. Like, what was it? I'll give you a perfect example. It happened today, or it happened yesterday. I was like, oh, last night the girls took the bikes out, but then they just left them all over the backyard. And I was like, hey guys, we're going to put the bikes away. And they're like, what? And I said, Georgia, we're putting the bikes away. And she's like, what do you want? And I was like, no, you hear me. You don't want to do it. And then I got really angry. And then she was like, I didn't take them out. And I was like, that's not what I said. I didn't say, hey, did you take them out? Can you help me? I said, we're going to put the bikes away. She was like, Isla. And then I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you? And then my wife's like, and then they go outside. And I go, I don't like that disrespectful shit. She goes, she's a kid. Let her, who gives a fuck? And I was like, no, but she should be. She goes, did you do that shit to your dad? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, wait, how can you be so in the moment kind of positive? Like, don't you want to fucking throw her in the pool or something? She was like, you need to calm the fuck down. And I was like, and then I start spinning out of control. And I'm like, no one tells me to calm the fuck down. And I'm like, and I go, but it's so funny that like, I know what that girl's going through.
Yeah.
There is a weird selfishness where we forget what it would be like to be her little brother. Mm. And sometimes the rules were different for us when we were growing up. Like, I told my daughter the other day, I go, we were talking about tattoos, and I said, you can never get a tattoo. And she was like, well, that's not a rule. And I went, no, it's definitely a rule. And then I went, and then I said, I don't have a tattoo. She goes, I don't care. She goes, do you know why I don't have a tattoo? And she goes, well, why do you have a tattoo, Dad? And I go, because my dad said I couldn't get a tattoo. And that's why I don't have one, and that's why you're not getting one. My dad said we can't get one. Like, what the fuck world am I living in?
Oh,
I don't give a shit if she has a tattoo.
I do reverse psychology with Jules, with a teenager we have here. I'm like, you should get a tattoo every day. Get a tattoo. Bobby's like, hey, do cocaine, do all this. She couldn't be a more angelic child. Oh. Like, we just keep forcing her into these, what we think. She's like, oh, that's so like uncool and like your age stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
She comes up with a face tattoo right now.
Hi, hello.
Hello, I did it.
I got really high on cocaine and I got a face tattoo.
I did it.
Bobby's gonna be so happy.
You guys love me more now.
Guys, I'm pregnant. So what do we tell this girl to do?
I think those feelings are super normal. I think
Very
everyone
normal.
in the pandemic in the same household wants to murder each other.
Yes.
So just hang in there. Mm-hmm. And when you do get the time and the money, get out of there, get your own place, have that independence. So
what you're saying is so, I didn't mean to cut you off, I'm sorry, but what you're saying is so real. She's forgetting she's in a pandemic a little bit, and that my wife says it to me over and over again. You're in a pandemic. You can't go out and work. You can't, like, other than what I did a little bit, but like, she's like, you can't go out to the store. You can't go out to dinner. You can't go to Pat's to have a cocktail. You can't do that. And don't forget that you can't do any of that shit. And then she can't do any of this shit. And you're the reason she can't do any of this shit, because you're saying, if I can't do this shit, you're not doing this shit. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, that's all real tension in a household that is because we're in a very unique time. And to forget we're in a unique time is almost to blame yourself for something you're not guilty of.
Yeah.
Those feelings are very real. They're very valid, but don't blame yourself for having them. It's a pandemic. If you guys were out of the house, if you were out of the house, you'd come in, you'd see your brother, you'd smile and go, hey, what are the fucking old fucks up to today? And he'd be like, ugh, they hit me. And you'd be like, sit down. But they're not hitting him because you're all in the same house. They can't just start beating him up now. It's fucking awkward.
Yeah.
Hey.
Beat the shit out of him in front of everyone.
I would just walk around with like nunchucks and like fucking like, what do you call those things?
Brass knuckles.
The brass knuckles, and just like look like I'm training for a fucking. I look like I'm training for a kumite, so that the younger 12-year-old is like, "What the fuck is she up to?" So he just gets in line.
Here's what you do while he's sleeping: cut his hair just a little bit, just a little bit, so you fucking won. And then the next morning, go, "Hey man, your hair looks good," and they'll be like, and then you always have that knowledge that you won.
Yeah.
Just a little locket of hair, and then leave it places and be like, put it in his food, and they'll be like, oh, there's hair in my food, and go, you sure it's not your hair?
I hope that helped you, friend.
Yeah, I hope that helped you.
Thank you so much for doing this, Bert.
Hey, thank you for having me.
I
This
really
was a
like
blast.
you. This was a blast, and we're gonna go spearfish. We're gonna live out the Hawaii dream.
I'm a 100% into all of that.
Anything to promote? Anything?
I don't have anything to. Oh no, I'm sorry. I have a TV show. TBS Go Big Show every Thursday night, 9 p.m., 8 Central. The finale's coming up. It's a 2 hour. I think it's an hour finale. I don't know, whatever. But it's a good show. It's a big family friendly, fun thing. Snoop Dogg's on it. Cody Rhodes, Jennifer Nettles, Rosario Dawson, and myself. I'm hosting.